We're good. We're golden. What's going on, everybody? It is day 2 of the wonderful, incredible, amazing pre-E3 Zach and Pat Spectacular. Today, Pat is going to tell us about this strange villager in the center of the screen. What villager is that?
That's a brand new leaked villager. It's called
Uh-oh.
Squiddy, and it's coming soon.
Squiddy, very human-like qualities there. Interesting. Is that a modified fishing rod? What do we have in her hand there?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. That was a leaked image. That dice maybe indicates some Cap'n mini games or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
Zach, today we're talking about Nintendo. Okay, yesterday we talked about Animal Crossing.
Woo!
Today we're talking about Nintendo and our predictions for the rumored Nintendo Direct. We have to, clear the air a little bit because there's no official Nintendo Direct yet. But Zach, give me a percentage. Like, how likely is? Yeah, okay, 99. 99%.
And look, it's not just because Nintendo does it every year. It's because we don't know their second half plans. We have Xenoblade 3 in July and we have Splatoon in September, and that's all we know. I mean, I guess now we know the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet date, but believe you me, Nintendo will have more games in August, October, November, December. So they have to alert the press and the people. I think it's happening next week, but we're going to kick things off with a strange occurrence that's going down today that has people kind of up in a tizzy. I covered this in my video earlier today, and Pat, I know you saw it. There is maintenance on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tonight around 9 p.m. That's very odd because you'd imagine this maintenance is for Wave 2 of the Course Booster Pass, and you'd imagine that they would talk about that in a bigger way than just like, here it is.
Unless they have some sort of like Twitter announcement coming tonight or something like that. Like Mario Kart 8 is one of the biggest games, but I don't know if that warrants what could they really do? Like a trailer?
Well, yeah,
They're probably gonna
you just figure it would be that's a nice announcement for a direct that I would imagine, could be at least a fun, hey, it's out now, like one of those things they surprise drop. Maybe they're just doing back end work. Maybe it's not going to come out tonight, but we're in a very unknown period where it's like, I don't know. I feel like I got to be ready at any moment because the direct could be tomorrow. It could be Wednesday. It could be next Wednesday. Like it's uncharted territory because normally they would announce weeks ahead to sort of line up with everybody else, but that's not the case.
Like you said in your video today, like what does that mean? Does that mean no direct? Did they change course? Or that could also mean they're getting stuff out of the way because it's a
big.
Huge show. So
big. Yeah. So this is going to be fun. You guys can let us know your predictions, your questions, what you're hoping to see, what you are worried about not seeing for the next couple of weeks from Nintendo. And some Nintendo stuff may show up other places in terms of Jeff Keighley said he's got some Switch exclusive games. Now they won't be Nintendo made, but they will be for the Switch. And we're kind of laying the groundwork here as we start to begin our predictions for the summer. Do you want to talk about Jeff's thing first? The fact that he kind of walked back. If you don't know, Summer Game Fest is sort of the E3 replacement this Thursday. And he told everyone today, after hyping it for weeks and weeks, to manage your expectations, that it'll be mostly already announced games.
That's the worst kind of hype, man, Zach. Like, dude, I'm having the party of the year later this month, and then like a week until it happens. Well, you might have to bring your own food and stuff. Like, I don't know. So okay, I don't know if this is just because of like how toxic the gaming community is. Like, cut me some slack or whatever. Or this also, I think, lends itself to Nintendo being so quiet. Because, Zach, I can't remember. I mean, I know there's like a few leaks coming out.
Yeah.
I can't really remember an E3 season being this quiet for on the Nintendo side.
On all sides, I feel like. I mean, I know things are different and, it's pandemic time still and we've had a lot of delays. But normally we're hearing big rumors of big, exciting projects, new games. And half of them end up being right, half of them end up being false, but right now, it's kind of quiet. Like there's a leak about a new Crash Bandicoot game. It seems like Goldeneye is coming back in some form.
Yep.
But other than that, like there's not even like the funny fake leaks for Nintendo. The printouts where it's like, we stole a picture of Reggie's sheet or like there's just nothing really going on right now. So yeah, it's a very interesting time. I still think there's going to be exciting stuff, but you have so many games that haven't released yet. It makes sense that you can't, Starfield is still not out, and Metroid Prime 4 is still not out, and Breath of the Wild 2 is still not out. So you obviously have to wait and focus on that first.
I did put a poll on my side, and I said, which game are you looking forward to the most? Breath of the Wild 2, Splatoon 3, Scarlet and Violet, or more Mario Kart tracks?
Woo!
Breath of the Wild 2, 39%, followed by Scarlet and Violet, then Mario Kart tracks, then Splatoon 3, which I don't know if it's just because it's my audience, but I feel like Splatoon 3 is going to be like one of the, I don't know if it's going to do as well as Pokemon, but you never know. It's like this competitive shooting thing. Breath of the Wild 2. It has to be Breath of the Wild 2, right?
That's so interesting on multiple fronts. There's different things we can talk about. Do you want to do Splatoon first or Zelda first?
Do Zelda first.
Okay, so
yeah,
I'll be the bubble burster. If there was one thing I would bet on for this direct, I think it's that we do not see Breath of the Wild 2.
We do not see anything. Trailer, title, anything.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's my... It just feels too far off. They recently delayed it. It's not like, development has sped along in the last couple of months. So I feel like they saved that for September or the Game Awards. I mean, we're assuming it's early next year, but maybe it's next holiday. We have no idea at this point. Yeah. So I don't think that we get anything. And I think that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. I think people are kind of thinking that's the center of Nintendo's show. And what they fill that gap with, I don't know. It's a big hole to fill. It's a big void.
Did they didn't give like a time frame, right? They just said like next
2023.
year.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I would assume it would be spring. I would assume it would be spring.
You'd hope. I mean, but
and then, they would I think have like a whole direct for that game. Like it's going to be a huge game.
Well, and if you look back at what they did with Splatoon, remember they announced Splatoon early last year and said 2022, and we all kind of thought, that's probably a spring game. And well, now it's summer, but it's barely summer. It's September. So I don't know. I don't want to get attached to a month or a quarter or a season. I'm just,
Yeah. Now, I will say this, because what we did for this show is because it's just like a Nintendo Direct prediction show. Mm-hmm. We actually brought our own predictions. So
Woo!
I like that we're on the Zelda topic, because my first prediction, Zach, and I need you to...
hold on. I'm sorry. I'm incorrect. Apparently they did say spring.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so you are correct. So apparently they said spring, but I don't know. In today's day and age, I don't buy it until.
Do you see that getting pushed back again?
Look at all the games it's happened to. I mean, hopefully Nintendo can hit it, but I mean, Nintendo is better about it than most. But until they give me a date, even with Xenoblade, they flipped that date around, right? So I don't know. I think we're just in delay-o-rama right now.
I mean, Animal Crossing was delayed, similar fashion, went from winter to spring, and it was like the best thing ever, so, okay. But back to this, my first prediction, Zach, is that we will not be Zelda-less in this show. My first prediction is, I think that we're going to get a Zelda either remake or port. I'm very on the fence. I want to know what you feel. Mm-hmm. I think that we're either going to get Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, a combo pack, or sort of like a remake of the Oracle games. I don't know if it would be in the same like Lynx Awakening art style or whatever. Which one of those, I mean, if any, do you think is like the more likely?
I mean, I think the most likely is the re-releases, just because it feels like it's so simple and it's just money waiting to happen for Nintendo. They already have HD versions of both games. They just, tidy them up a little more and boom, they're out. That also is what I hope does not happen. I mean, Zelda is big, so Nintendo would treat that as such. And I don't really like the idea of these games that we've had released multiple times being like a tentpole for Nintendo. I have a new poster back here of Lynx Awakening, which was a phenomenal game on Switch. And that's my hope. I would love to see that same team, Grezzo, back at it with with Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons. I think that'd be so fun and so fantastic. And I will say, despite the overwhelming evidence that it's Wind Waker or Twilight Princess, people were saying Metroid Prime Trilogy for years, and there's still no Metroid Prime Trilogy on Switch. And now that's
Dread,
which was great. So
yeah,
let's have that happen again. Don't give us these ports, and instead, it's a different port, but it's actually like a new. I mean, Link's Awakening was reimagined to a point where it's basically a new game. And that would be my hope. But we're
going to see something Zelda, though, right? It's a once-a-year thing.
You would imagine the only way I see it not happening is if Breath of the Wild was supposed to be fall, and then that got pushed, and so then they're like, well, I mean, you'd think, but you'd also think Xbox is going to have a big fall game, and now with Redfall and Starfield both delayed, it seems like they have nothing. So, look what they did for the Zelda anniversary. Not much. So, I don't know.
Give me that Wind Waker, man. Just give me the Wii U version. I just want it on the Switch.
Is that your pick between those two, Wind Waker or Twilight Princess? You like Wind Waker?
If I had to choose, honestly, I probably would go to Oracle games. If I had like a choice, I really like the top-down Zelda, the retro style Zelda. I mean, I have Wind Waker, Twilight Princess on my Wii U. I could just like play that. My favorite game out of those is Wind Waker, but I think Oracle would be a more exciting announcement for me.
Yeah, and then, if they do it, how do they do it? Is it 2 games for 60? Are they each 60? The way that they handled that is also a dicey proposition. I mean, Carol is saying, don't think there's going to be any Zelda. Who says, I think Zelda will be added for the hype of it. You think about it, Strikers should be out by the time this is out. And so we could be looking at a Direct that has no Zelda and no Mario and no AC. And then this is just like a very weird show, but that also makes it possibly very exciting. Maybe there's something that nobody knows about yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because, I did have another one. I'll just list off another one because I had a few DLC predictions.
Okay.
My first, so I'm torn about this because usually you don't talk about additional content of a game that's not released yet, but I really do think that they're going to at least spotlight Strikers. Well, depending on when this presentation is. But I really do think that they're going to show us a little bit of DLC, akin to what they did with the golf Mario Odyssey course. Mm-hmm. They'll give us Daisy. Everyone will do backflips, but I don't know. What more could they add to that game? Characters, I guess. But
yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of content is actually there because this is the first Mario sports game that doesn't seem to have a big single player mode. Golf had the little sort of RPG with the Miis, and then tennis had the board game. Mario cooperative mode. This doesn't seem to have it. So what do they put in there? They've got the gear system. I've seen a lot of people predict Strikers being there, so it's totally possible. I'm going to say it's not, just because I do think that this Direct is next week. I don't think it's this week, and I do think it's next, and I think... I don't know. I just feel like it's too soon, but you never know. Maybe they want to, gain favor with all the Daisy lovers out there.
Hannah in the chat says, will we see any updates to Switch Sports? The golf DLC? I would assume that it's doing well. Yeah, it's in the fall. Yeah.
So that could be this Direct. It could be the typically, September Direct. There have been rumors about, or data mines even, of other sports. So if there's more for it, they could show it off. I mean, by all accounts, that game, has been selling really well. So totally on the table for more content.
And then keeping on the DLC train, I do think, this might be so dated if something happens tonight. But I mean, you have to show Mario Kart 8 courses,
right?
I feel like this is a no-brainer, and it wouldn't even have to be a huge thing. It could be a 2-minute, minute and a half type thing.
Right.
8 tracks. They're already made, just HD versions of them, probably from Tour and some other games. So I think that's pretty safe. I'm trying to be safe. Are you proud of me? I didn't come out with Metroid Prime 4 gameplay.
Barring it coming tonight, I think the Mario Kart Course Booster Pass is a lock for the Direct. I think it's one of the locks, and then less of a lock, but almost as much. Your next DLC, I feel like that's a lock as well.
Mm-hmm. the third one. Okay,
Yeah.
To finish off the DLC, Mario Party Superstars DLC.
Yeah.
Give me more Mario Party boards, please. So I'm actually predicting 4 more boards and 2 characters. I don't know who they will be. But the other Super Mario Party had a lot of cool characters.
Yeah.
Monty Mole and things like that. Give us 4 boards. Give us 2 characters. How do you feel about DLC when it's put in a Nintendo Direct? Like, do you still get hyped?
I think it's still. I think it's cool. I mean, it depends the level. We're talking about something that's a substantial update. For example, like the Metroid Dread stuff that was like a hard mode where if you get hit once, you die. Like, I was like, okay, well, game's challenging enough on its own. I don't need that. I don't care. That doesn't seem like that big of an update. It's just kind of more of a patch. This though, absolutely, and I think they announced this, and I think it goes straight to Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. I think it kind of becomes their third pillar. You know, you can pay for it, or you can do that. To me, the boards are too big to just like add for free. It's not the same as a new character for tennis, or I think it is a big enough piece of content because there's 5 boards in the main game.
It's low.
Yeah, you're basically paying like $12 per board, even with the main game. So if they're gonna have like 2 new boards and 2 new characters, to me that is worth charging for, and to me that is a great extra oomph to that Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. And then you've got the Mario Kart stuff, you got the Mario Party stuff, you got like that. Then is the best $4 a month you can spend in game, hands down.
I think it's already at a point where the expansion pack is a no-brainer, and I think you add in a couple more DLCs. And that's, I didn't put this on my prediction thing, but like Nintendo Online, that could possibly get a little boost. But I think DLC adds to that. Like, it's a no-brainer for what you're paying. Mm-hmm. You're getting the Animal Crossing, expansion. You're getting the Mario Kart courses. Splatoon 3 guarantee will be on there. So, yeah, that's what I have for DLC. I do get excited. I guess it depends on the game, but when I see, I like a mixture of like DLC, remasters, new stuff.
You just chop out the remasters. I'm fine with just new stuff and DLC.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing DLC, no predictions for that?
You do. I don't know, man. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, you have such a big install base.
Right.
We've seen spin-off games before, Amiibo Festival, Plaza, things like that. Could they announce something? I don't know. I just feel sort of lukewarm on that. They have been extra quiet.
If they do, it's got to be a spin-off like we talked about yesterday. I don't see there being 3.0. I don't see there being a paid expansion. But I do think, to your point, Switch Online will be a focal part of this presentation. I think that Game Boy Advance, Game Boy emulator that was uncovered is going to come to fruition finally. I think we are going to see that. They have to say something about what's next for that, because N64, all they have left is Pokemon Snap. I think that's all they got left. And then what happens? Their SNES, NES games suck. They don't want to give us Mario RPG or anything great. So what's next, and why should people stay subscribed? That's where you bring in the Course Booster Pass. That's where you bring in Mario Party. That's where you bring in Game Boy Advance. And honestly, for me, the Game Boy Advance Edition is a bigger deal than N64, SNES, or NES, because I think a lot of those games hold up perfectly to this date, especially the 2D stuff. And like the list that was on there, Minish Cap, Metroid Fusion, Golden Sun, like those games would be awesome to have on the go.
And it's really exciting because I remember the 3DS eShop, they had like Pokemon Crystal and some of the older Pokemon games, and they never came to Wii U. So like, give me Ruby, give me, everything. Yeah. I want everything. Yeah. Just give me everything. Real quick about the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance stuff. Does this bode well for like the possibility of Oracle games being remade, or does that clash too much?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd find out. Are they part of, because they're great additions to a Game Boy lineup.
Yeah, and
they're great additions to the Switch lineup. So I don't think they'll do both. I think at least not simultaneously. I don't think they'll say go play Oracle of Ages now, and then this fall we're releasing a remake. So I think that will be a telltale sign of if it's mysteriously not there, then to me that's like, oh, okay, maybe something's up. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so I think the game that's gonna take a lot of the spotlight is Splatoon 3. Mm-hmm. We don't really know a lot about it. I'm a huge Splatoon fan. Splatoon 1 to 2 was, I think, a big enough jump. From what I've been seeing, Zach, and I don't think weapons and like little gimmicky things are enough to warrant.
Shoes? You don't want those new.
I do, but I keep looking at this Splatoon 3 footage, and I'm like, why did this need to be made?
Yeah.
Even like Call of Duty games, I feel like have big enough differences.
They haven't sold it to us really yet. I think that's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And to your point, you talked about Zelda being exciting, Splatoon being exciting. I feel like the Splatoon momentum is at the lowest it has been since the Switch was birthed. Splatoon 1 started slow but really gained momentum. Splatoon 2 was all the rage. The expansion made it even better. That game lasted for a long time. They supported it. I feel like people were so hyped last year when Splatoon 3 got announced. That trailer was very engaging and interesting. Ooh, the Inklings out in the desert and customizing the character and what's going on. And then since then, they've shown typical multiplayer, typical weapons, typical gear. And it's like, what is the reason for this game existing? Why is this 3? I am hopeful that they have a new mode. I'm hopeful that they have something that borrows from the Fortnites and Apex Legends of the world, and they do have something very unique. Because for whatever reason, it seems like people are not going to be very happy if it's just, it's back again. Mm-hmm. We've done this dance.
They've even shown off a mode that was like, exclusive to Splatoon 2. What's that mode?
Salmon Run.
I can't even think. Salmon Run. Yeah. Okay. And it looks pretty cool. But again, it's the theme of Splatoon 3. New enemies, like a little bit new enemies, a little bit new weapons. I think that Splatoon 3, we're going to get gameplay. Mm-hmm. I think a match might play out during this Nintendo Direct. And I also think we're going to get a date and a Splatoon Direct announcement date. Because there's just too much to show. And I love Nintendo
I hope there's too much to show.
That's what I'm hoping. And I love, by the way that Nintendo handles Splatoon with the scientists coming out. It's so good.
It's very good. Their marketing is excellent, and it better be excellent because that game's out in 3 months, and I don't feel like there's any buzz whatsoever. So they got to really bring that back up. Like you said, it could be one of their biggest games of the whole platform. If they do it well, it's their shooter, it's their multiplayer competitive online game. So really got to nail that. I think that they will showcase quite a bit here. It's either that or they show a trailer and then say there's a Splatoon Direct. We don't know Nintendo's plans. Every year in the past they've had Treehouse, which is kind of where they deep dive into games after the Direct. Will they have that this year? Will they have something akin to that? I don't really know. I don't know about you guys in the chat, but it is my personal preference that we get smaller segments but more games. I really don't like when it's 9 minutes of Xenoblade Chronicles. No slight to that game, but do we really have to see exactly how every weapon? It's too much, and so I hope we don't have a 10-minute. Do you guys remember the year? There was a year where they had a 20+ minute Smash Bros segment, and that is the only game that I think can justify that. And even that was maybe much.
Yeah, I was gonna say not even because they might come out and say, "Hey, we have a 40-minute Nintendo Direct presentation," and in your mind, you're like, "Oh my God, 40 minutes! Right. I can do so much. So much can be shown." That they might spend 10, 15 minutes on a game, and then that 40 minutes isn't so good.
Right.
Zach, I do have one prediction that I was a little naughty with. Okay, this one is a little out there. It's time for DK to come back. Okay, but come back in a bigger way. All right, I'm thinking a 2.5D, maybe 3D, Donkey Kong. I'm more comfortable with a Kirby style 2.5D. Please. So many Nintendo mascots have been just reinvented,
right?
Based off their Switch games. DK, Zach, please.
He has been left out. I think it's in the title. I think DK is going to show up here. We had it rumored all the way back last E3. Nothing showed up. Nothing in September. Nothing in February. I think it is time. We have Tropical Freeze, but that's a port. A fantastic game, but it's a port. Kirby has gotten 6 games on the Switch. Mario has his 10. Link has a few. DK needs one. Now, the difficulty is what kind of game. Like you said, Kirby did a great job kind of flipping the formula on its head and evolving the franchise. DK has been 3D before, but it's hard because DK is kind of it's Nintendo's like best true platformer. So,
Yeah.
you know, I would love to see them be experimental, but if they do go 2D, I won't be upset. The
Yeah.
rumors that have kind of been going around is like, okay, Nintendo brought it back in house and it's bringing back the Kremlings. It's like, K. Rool was in Smash, so they want to kind of, touch on that again. And then I think like Strikers just stoke this fire even more because the model for DK is the best model in the game. Like DK looks so
good.
dang good. And
Yep.
playing as that would be fantastic. I think DK is going to be Nintendo's sort of other game this fall, like their big one. But yeah, how they lay it out 2D, 2.5D, 3D, I think that's, a dice roll at this point.
And then, if they do release that, there's also rumors of like a 3D Mario game. That would probably push the Mario game back.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we're in a definite Mario gap. Like, yes, there's Strikers, but Odyssey was back in 2017. Bowser's Fury was like awesome, but it also was part of a port. We haven't had a new 2D Mario this generation. They did bring over New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, but that's an old game. So what do they do? Now, I have said for a while now, I think they would tie a Mario game to the movie, something that you can buy in stores, around the movie. And I've seen a lot of people say that movie trailer debuts here. I think that's very possible. I think we could see a movie trailer, and that would be like a fun moment. People have been waiting for that. It got delayed till April. But I have to imagine they want something Mario for, Mama Pat to go out to Walmart and buy for little kiddo Pat. Like after you see the movie, you want to go get that Mario game. So
yeah,
I feel like there's got to be some Mario. I think it's too early for Odyssey 2, but a 2D Mario or
if Nintendo, if it's 2D, and if you give us the new Super Mario Bros. Aesthetic, I'm gonna scream. Okay, that is done. We need new 2D Mario something.
Style. I mean,
claymation, like paper, something. Give us something.
There's a conspiracy that you could, look at that says, okay, Nintendo wants to launch a new console and they want to recreate the hype they had with the Switch launch. And what they have at the Switch launch? They had Zelda, and then what they have later that year, 3D Mario. So is there a chance that next year is the repeat? We have Breath of the Wild 2 and Odyssey 2? Yes. But I don't think we see that here. Mario, to me, could be a wild card. Most people aren't talking about it. They're talking Metroid, they're talking DK, they're talking 1-2 Switch. But Nintendo does love Mario. And if for some reason they drop this Mario Kart Course Booster Pass, and for some reason, Strikers is out, so they don't need to cover that, I think they got to get some Mario in there. Somewhere. Somehow. Maybe it's just the movie trailer. Who knows? But a new Mario game, like, they're working on it.
Oh yeah, they have to be. So I actually wanted to touch on this because I'm a fan of this game, but it's not really a popular enough game.
All right.
There's a lot of rumors going around that ARMS is going to make a comeback.
It's great, but I don't.
It would need a lot of work. We would need more characters, maybe even a story mode. They kind of hinted at lore.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this coming? There's also rumors of a freaking 1-2 Switch.
I think that's what you're getting. I think if you're planning on playing with motion this year, it's going to be Switch Sports and 1-2 Switch. Everyone kind of thinks like it's like this silly secret with these insiders where they're like, oh, there's this game nobody wants coming and it's 1-2 Switch. I'll wait and see it, but I would love an ARMS. I don't think you put out ARMS close to Splatoon just because, they're both kind of like new IP, multiplayer, that type of thing. But I would love it. I just feel like it's still sold millions. It's just not selling Animal Crossing millions or Mario Kart millions or...
Yeah. It also came out at a time when, like, Switch was brand new.
Yeah, there wasn't much going on.
ARMS came out, and then Splatoon said, no. They came out like a month later or something. And it just completely killed the whole thing. I don't know. I'm all for new IP trying to take off again, and like, I don't know. That could be.
I would love a new IP. Forget ARMS, something new entirely. Like, to me, like every direct, the best case scenario is that we get something that nobody could ever predict. Crazy crossover, crazy new IP. Nintendo does that so rarely, but when they do, it's usually really great, right? It's usually Splatoon, it's ARMS. When they take risks like that, they usually put a lot of forethought into it. it's dicey because there's some people that will say, oh, they're not going to show much new, but I do feel for me like this is going to be a pretty loaded up show, just because their future calendar is so unknown. They've been putting Metroid Prime and Bayonetta and Breath of the Wild 2 on their investor reports for so many sessions, so many quarters, so many financial calls now. I feel like they have to start sort of prepping the waters for the next wave of Switch games, which would kind of include Breath of the Wild 2, which we know about, and then what else? Because I think we expect Metroid Prime. I don't know about you, but to me, that's still 4 is still way out there.
Yeah.
Rumors and leaks about a Metroid Prime remaster. You buying that?
I think I will. Yeah, I mean, Metroid Prime Remastered, there's also been like ton of rumors on Metroid Trilogy coming out. I mean, I think if they cleaned it up from what they had before, like all those could look amazing and could be a nice introduction for people. I kind of think Dread was like a really good introduction, but like in terms of like a 3D, that would be good for sure. I don't know, maybe like just do the first one, but do it really, really well.
Yeah, that's the idea out there, is that they have Nintendo kind of doing a full remaster remake type thing of the first game, and I think that would be awesome. Make the controls a little bit more modern, explore those 3D environments, and kind of prep the waters for Metroid Prime 4 whenever that is to come out. I just want a surprise. I mean, I'm fine if Metroid Prime happens. I'm fine, I guess, if Wind Waker, but I just want there to be at least one surprise, and that surprise could be DK, that surprise could be Fire Emblem, that surprise could be something totally new, but that surprise better not be 1-2 Switch. That must not be their special reveal, is 1-2 Switch 2 or 1-3, 4, 5, 6 Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I am seeing some interesting things in the chat. Rhythm Heaven. Like, I would love, that's kind of like what I love about Nintendo. Like, they put out these like just smaller scale, maybe like a Rhythm Heaven or like a Pushmo or something.
Pushmo. That's a callback. Thank you. I respect you for that. Pushmo. That's a great game.
Like just like an eShop exclusive, like Mario versus Donkey Kong. Maybe that's like the new thing. But I think like this would be a good year to have like a lower scale game. I mean, these are still like very hype games, but like, something lower scale until like Pokemon takes us away for the rest of the year. But
yeah, someone else in the chat here is talking about Advance Wars. Does that show back up again? I hope not. I mean, that game does need to get redated. And it could be August, it could be July, it could be whenever. But I do hope that if they show that again, it's a quick thing. Or honestly, I hope it's just a tweet, like,
Yeah. I mean, that game was done. It's literally just sitting in warehouses right now. But because of the Ukraine conflict over there, like they decided.
And maybe they don't want to draw too much attention to it. Maybe they just want to be like, it's coming out.
Yeah, we're gonna get a tweet and saying like, "Hey, get hyped again," but like that, I would assume that would come out this year. I mean, it's not like everything's done with, but they gotta release it somehow. Some people in my chat, of course, my chat would be saying AC remakes. I just don't. We talked about that yesterday. The idea of doing any kind of remake would be just odd to me. Like, I don't really know like what that accomplishes for Animal Crossing. We talked about this yesterday, how that's kind of like backpedaling a little bit. New Horizons was so great because it's like you're adding things that people always wanted. So like going back to a game where you can only carry 8 items is not exactly like super. I don't never see it happening, honestly. The only thing I could possibly see happening. No, I can't even see anything happening. I was going to say maybe the first Animal Crossing dropping, like just GameCube form, but they don't do that. They hate the GameCube.
Yeah, so. There's not really one that they can put on the online, like virtual console. I don't think that happens with those games. I think, best case scenario is the Splatoon villagers.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening. I personally, like we said yesterday, I would bet more on a spin-off than anything being added to New Horizons. I think the book has kind of closed on New Horizons. But, Nintendo does weird stuff. Every time you think you got them pegged out with Donkey Kong and Mario Kart and Metroid, they're going to come out and throw Star Fox at us. Like, there are games that could be here that F-Zero, Star Fox. There's titles that, like, we have not seen this generation that could appear. A lot of talk in the chat about Silksong, Hollow Knight.
Yes.
That is a big game that I would think would be a Nintendo Direct, but there was some interesting discussion this morning where Jeff Keighley said, like, ooh, I've got this great trailer in my inbox. And then the head of marketing for Team Cherry said, like, oh, I'm excited for that reveal with like a smiley face or whatever. So maybe it pops up at Summer Game Fest. Maybe it pops up at Nintendo Direct. But that game...
I think that would be the level of game that would appear in a Nintendo Direct. Like, we're going to have the sizzle reel of the copyright music that I gotta mute every time. Like, there's like the sizzle reel of like third-party games. We didn't even really talk third-party. No. But another franchise that I haven't seen anyone say, I'm very surprised, is Pikmin. Pikmin has always been
Pikmin
like...
4, yeah.
Pikmin 4, give us Pikmin 4. We did get Pikmin 3, you know, like so people know what it is if they didn't before.
And there's Bloom on mobile, the walking game.
There's a lot of hype behind Pikmin, so I would, you know, one of those titles, we're going to get a weird title. That's just like a safe prediction, like just a weird one-off title.
A co-op Pikmin could be really neat. Another thing that just popped in my head that we kind of glossed over is Mario plus Rabbids. That game has been announced. That's a Mario game. That could be tied to the movie. I could easily see that coming out this year, and I could easily see that getting delayed till spring of 2023 as well. But Ubisoft is not having a show this summer, so if we see it, it should be with Nintendo. I am excited to see what they do with that. I think the first game was an incredible proof of concept and an incredible crossover that you never thought would happen. And you know, Mario with a freaking bullet bill gun. Let's see it again.
Yeah,
third party.
I'm pretty hyped for that.
Third party, there will be I think a considerable amount of stuff. People are talking about Monkey Ball. People are talking about Hogwarts. People are talking about.
I mean, was Sonic?
Frontiers is coming to.
Yeah.
What do you think of those trailers? You see those?
I think the whole Breath of the Wild type thing is old now. If that came out like the year Breath of the Wild came out, I'm not a huge Sonic fan. I actually like the retro stuff a lot more. But it really does nothing for me. It looks clean. It looks fun. Like I'm sure if you're a Sonic fan, you're doing like front flips. But
I think the theme of that game is nothing though, because nothing was really happening. They showed off him walking, drawing circles.
Yeah. Another title I'm seeing is Tomodachi Life. I think that could be an amazing game to put. So like they have Miitopia,
right?
Which was like a 3DS Mii game.
Right.
Tomodachi Life, please. That would be so great. And like a lot of these 3DS games, they could possibly find new life on this system, but like give us a new one. Don't like remaster it, but
yeah, I mean, a lot of Punch-Out love. I don't know if you ever played those games, but that hasn't been since the Wii, a new one. You know, I feel like we're at the point of the generation where Nintendo can get a little funky. You got 100 million consoles, so everything is going to sell. I do hope we see a little bit more off-the-cuff Nintendo going into next year, because everything's been mainstay, right? We have, like I said, 6 Kirby's. You know, you're talking about Splatoon having another iteration, Mario, Zelda. You know, whether it's Donkey Kong, Punch-Out, Pikmin, like I do think it's that time in the cycle where you can start taking some flyers on some smaller franchises, and I hope we get those. In terms of third party, my biggest wish though is that it's just not cloud versions. Just like the Cloud Kingdom Hearts was a disaster. You know, Hogwarts kind of won't say if it's cloud or not, but I hope that whatever third-party stuff we get, I hope it's, you know, Doom Eternal level. A great port that's on a cartridge. You don't have to go play it on a...
Yeah, and you know what? We're going to start walking into more and more problems of, like, probably these third-party companies are going to want to put things on Switch, but the Switch is old, man. The Switch is old in terms of power and stuff. It runs like a 360 does. So, like... You're gonna have to beef it up more. I do think another version is imminent, like we were saying before, but yeah, you hope they're just on a cart or like a little download and just not like a cloud version. But
yeah, I think, you know, it's probably not the time to see that new console. They usually save that for closer to launch.
Yeah.
Remember, Nintendo showed off the Switch, you know, in the fall before a March launch, and then they have done September before the Switch Lite, and the Switch Lite came out in September. They did something in July. So this doesn't really seem to be the time for that, but I do think you're right. I think people don't want to talk about Switch Pro, but it has to be happening, and it's probably happening sooner rather than later. And I think it's tied to the launch of Breath of the Wild 2. So that would be whenever you think that's coming out, I feel like there'll be another Switch for you to buy next to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any like huge third-party wants. Does anyone have any like huge third-party wants? I feel like we've gotten a lot of stuff like with the show, and more of the things I want. I know I can run, like the the Cowabunga collection and stuff like that.
Supposedly June 16th. That's supposedly the Shredder's Wrench is supposedly out. New Crash would be fun. There's that Mass Effect trilogy that was rumored a while back, hasn't shown up yet. One thing I would love to talk about and get your take on, no one talks about this, is the accessories. For a while, Nintendo was all about new Joy-Con, new Pro Controller, special editions, and they have just gone to sleep on that front. Now, there is a new Monster Hunter Pro Controller tied to Sunbreak, but do you have any desire for a new set of Joy-Con, a new Pro Controller, a new look, a different color OLED?
Yeah, it's actually weird that we haven't seen any new Joy-Con. Like, what's the last new Joy-Con? I can't even think of it.
I think the orange and purple, and then they had like the deep blue and yellow pack.
I mean, they used to do it for every game. ARMS got one. Splatoon got one. Mario got one. I would love to see it. I mean, I could possibly see a Splatoon something coming out, because we had not only the Splatoon Joy-Con, we also had a Pro Controller.
Right.
So I could see that coming out for Splatoon 3. They're going to push, guys. They're going to push Splatoon 3 so hard. That's all you're going to hear about. They want this game to succeed, and it has been succeeding. Splatoon 2 was a huge hit. They just put the DLC on the online service, so Splatoon 3, new Pro Controller, calling it here.
I think it's time for a Pokemon accessory. We have 10 Pokemon games on the Switch, and none of them have been tied to a controller. This one being open world, being multiplayer, it feels like the perfect game to sit on your couch, with your Pro Controller. I would love to see them do that, or a Joy-Con set, or even a console. A Scarlet Violet console could be really hot. A red, Scarlet Violet Joy-Con. I mean, something with that should be really, really neat. But yes, Splatoon could as well. They double dip on, or Xenoblade. They had a Xenoblade Pro Controller, so one of those. I feel like accessories will be a part of the show. I know most people don't really care about getting another one, but when you have all the Pro Controllers, then it's
maybe I definitely think we're going to be getting, at the bare minimum, like new amiibos for Splatoon 3.
Sure.
I'm telling you guys, Splatoon 3.
1-2 Switch Joy-Con. That makes
too
much sense.
Giant 1 and a 2 on it. Oh God. Did you like that game? Did you like that?
I liked it more than most, but I'm aware of its limitations. It is a gag game. It's not something you're going to sit down and play for 20 hours.
Yeah.
I'm willing to see what they do. I just feel like stuff like, Ring Fit and Switch Sports do it much better in a much more game, it's wrapped around a better game than 1-2 Switch, which is literally just like a, mess around with your friends type thing.
Going back to Splatoon, I just want to talk about Splatoon the whole time. I kind of think, there's not a lot that's separating it, like we said before. I kind of want to say that like a new huge mode comes out. I don't want to say Battle Royale, but like on that level where it's like a bigger draw to the game.
Right.
I really do think that Nintendo's going to start leaning into multiplayer focused I mean, Splatoon is a giant multiplayer focused game already, but like a mode to like make this game stand out, similar to Salmon Run, but like on a bigger scale with more players and things like that. I would absolutely love that.
It's necessary. They have to show something that, I mean, yes, there'll be a campaign. Yes, there's Salmon Run, but like, what are you doing to make this really evolve, especially on the competitive front? And I agree. I think the competitive front is where we probably see a step forward. It hasn't been shown yet, so hopefully they're holding something back. I don't know how many players Nintendo can fit on screen, but like a 40-player splat till you drop type mode could be pretty nifty.
I'm all for it. In terms of, I see a lot of people talking about Pokemon. They kind of keep to themselves. They have like their own Pokemon directs.
The only
Scarlet and Violet news or anything on Pokemon?
I would think a Scarlet Violet Treehouse segment could happen, but I don't think it's in the direct. Like you said, they kind of exist separately. As funny as that is, it's their biggest IP, and yet the one that doesn't want to be a part of the Nintendo Directs. But we didn't get a Pokemon Presents, so that either tells you there's nothing in the works for Pokemon, or the other stuff is being shown off at the Direct. So Detective Pikachu 2 is something that has sort of been in purgatory for a while. And then I wouldn't be surprised if you saw another Pokken tournament at some point. I think that game did pretty darn well.
Okay.
They ported it to Switch, and like, I'm not, it's not like I really think this is going to happen, but I would throw out a wild card of Pokken tournament, put that on your bingo board, because there's never enough Pokemon. So you can, they will always have.
Literally, you could say anything, like Mystery Dungeon, a new Mystery Dungeon game. I don't think Snap. I think Snap was like a one and done thing, but like Pokemon Stadium hasn't been seen. Like they could do like a Pokemon loading screen, and all it is a loading screen, and people would buy it. Like people just love that game. So, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
A lot of Fall Guys chatter. Fall Guys already had its announcement. I mean, it is coming out later this month. Maybe it shows up in a sizzle reel, but I don't think there's any significant time spent. The only way is if like there's Mario
items? Yeah.
Like Mario, Luigi, Peach outfits.
Which I think is like you got to do that.
It has to be, right?
Nintendo just has to like go all in on some of these games. Like, yeah, I mean, I've said this a bunch of times, but like Fall Guys, it's not as hype as it could have been, guys. If we remember like the Fall Guys hype, if they would have announced that like months after that hype,
right?
Man, you bring in some Mario items, Yoshi, DK stuff, like that is
Animal Crossing, Tom Nook.
Yeah, Animal Crossing
could have been big. I'm curious what that game does. I mean, I'm sure it'll do well the first day, but after that, like, it's been so long. I don't know.
So you kind of mentioned this already, but one of my favorite parts of Nintendo Directs is the Treehouse that follows.
Right.
And essentially, for those of you who don't know, like the Nintendo Treehouse is basically like where they take some of the announcements and some of the upcoming games and play them and show them off and, kind of break them down more, which I like because it takes less time out of the presentation. Will there be a Treehouse, Zach?
I would hope so. I mean, Microsoft today announced that their Bethesda Xbox Showcase is getting an extended show where they do go into more depth. I would think and hope Nintendo would do something similar. I guess it depends really how much they got, and it depends how much they want to spin off. You mentioned a Splatoon Direct. They've done Xenoblade Directs in the past. Do they have more presentations planned, or do they want to kind of dive into that stuff at a Treehouse? Like, please put Xenoblade in the Treehouse. Please don't take up 10 minutes of the Direct with that. And, it's a good chance to see, like you said, maybe they can show off full matches of Splatoon or something of that sort. More Pokemon would be a great fit.
Yeah.
I'll lean towards yes, just because it's been a staple of theirs for so long.
Probably just going to be like a pre-recorded 3-hour
just air
stream.
Yeah.
I mean, games that I would love to see. I mean, well, obviously new stuff. But Splatoon, I feel like you gotta show Splatoon. This is like your big anchor game, I think. I don't know what else they could show though.
Pokemon probably is very likely. They did
Pokemon
after Sword and Shield were announced. They did like a 30-minute Treehouse at E3 of 2018. Yeah. And kind of played through the game there. So that's one that they didn't really show exactly what that game is. We know it's 4 players. We know they run in different directions, and we know that the starters are really cute, and everyone loves Lechonk. But other than that, what is Scarlet and Violet? There's got to be some other showing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I want to see. Also, during those presentations, they reveal accessories and stuff. They show off amiibos like closer. So that should be really great, guys. If you have any predictions, put them in the chat. We'll react to them. We'll tell you how crazy you are or how realistic it can be. I don't know, man. Something about this year is making me feel like it's just going to be a...
See, I don't know if I feel the opposite.
Really? Okay. I think it's going to be kind of like, here's what we have, a little boring type thing. I think that they probably had a bigger show, but because Breath of the Wild, it probably was going to be a heavy Breath of the Wild show. So
I have to imagine. But I also imagine that they want to get ahead of some of the next wave, like I said, and this is one of the maybe the most obscure time in the Switch life cycle where we don't really know what's next. Remember, they usually use the February Direct to tease a big future game. That's where they announce Smash Ultimate. That's where they announce Splatoon 3. That's where they announce, stuff of that sort. there wasn't that. The big thing was Xenoblade, but that's out in July. And so what is the next thing for us to get hyped for a year? I feel like they have to give us that. And I don't know. You know, maybe I'm just a fool for Nintendo, but their summer shows are pretty good. The E3 summer June thing is usually not terrible. I think they got some big stuff.
Allison brought up a good point. Allison said a Kirby Game & Watch. I really think that's going to happen. They've done the Mario Bros, the Zelda, in like years in a row too. Kirby Game & Watch. But I'm going to say, like, I didn't put this down in my prediction list. I would not be surprised if we get a Kirby collection, because it is the anniversary. Mm-hmm. They could give us a Kirby collection and go all out with that. They did say earlier in the year that they were planning to do more stuff. Right. Like it was going to be a very involved Kirby year. So a Kirby collection, and then they show off the Kirby Game & Watch, and then pre-orders open, Zach. I can see that. That was a good call. I totally forgot about that.
Kirby the Forgotten Land is so good. I don't know that anything can live up to it for this year, but yeah, they did say there was more coming. You know, another option is like if they do the GBA drop for Switch Online, you can really bring in a lot of familiar faces that way too. You can do Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. You can do Minish Cap. You can do Metroid. You know, there's so many Mario and Luigi. There's so many games that you can do if you do that. And I think that, I don't know. I feel like if that happens, that will be people's favorite announcement. The Game Boy Advance. I feel like that will be very loved and very appreciated. And as long as the lineup is, you know, has some diversity, yeah.
Game Boy Advance has like an amazing library. I mean, F-Zero games are on there. Star Fox is on there. A lot of people are saying, like, is this just going to be Nintendo games? Are they going to show indie games? So they do a good mixture of like third-party games, and yeah, they can show indie games. It'll probably be in like a sizzle reel where they show, you know, music will be playing and they just show like what games are coming. Haunted Chocolatier, I don't know how far along that is.
I think it's got to be stuff of that caliber though, like, you know, your Stardew Valley, your Hollow Knight. It's not going to be, you know, like Parking Lot Simulator 20, you know, like that's not going to be there. Yeah. The only other option is they did do Cadence of Hyrule at E3, which was a crossover with Nintendo. Every direct, I'll say I really want that. It'll probably never happen, but that was so cool, and I'd love to see them allow some indie developer to get hands-on with their IP and see what they could do.
Yeah, that would be amazing. A lot of people mentioning Hogwarts Legacy. Zach, you picking that up?
Absolutely. I mean, they showed a game that looks at a scope to me, it looks bigger than GTA, bigger than Witcher. You're flying here, there, everywhere. They got the cities, the towns, the school. I mean, the scope of that game is mind-boggling. How they get it on a cartridge, I cannot fathom. So I feel like that's going to be a cloud game, and like that's the hard part, because like Hogwarts Legacy on Switch is very exciting. Hogwarts Legacy at the Direct is very exciting, but as soon as they say like cloud version, then I feel like everyone just it's like you just fell off the roller coaster.
I think that would be a third party game that is at the level to show in a Nintendo Direct. I'm very excited what they come out with for third party games. The GoldenEye rumor is out there, and I think it's going to be much more like Turok 1 and 2, where it's like kind of a just polished up N64 game. So I think that's what we're going to get there.
Probably.
New Luigi's Mansion, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, Next Level Games is putting out Mario Strikers next week, so they are all hands on deck on that game. The DLC, you know, there's no chance.
And I think we have to talk about this whole Direct as a whole, because it's not announced yet. Right. You know, it's not even out there. So if I'm remembering right, Nintendo usually gives us like 2 days notice, right? Never more.
Usually
than
for their big Directs, it's like on Wednesday they'll say it's coming Friday. I mean, normally for E3 we get it weeks before, but that's not the case. So I still think it's a next week. Maybe they announce it this week for next week, but they typically, if you look at their years in the past, they're always going on the 13th, the 14th, the 12th. So it would, I mean, to me, I guess my gut right now says announced on Monday the 13th for Wednesday the 15th, but that is going to freak some people out, because Monday the 13th would be past Summer Game Fest, past Xbox show, past the Devolver show. That is like, oh God, did Nintendo like skip the summer? But is there any world to you where they skip? Like, do you think that is it? Are you entertaining that possibility?
I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it because I mean, Nintendo's so unpredictable, but what they are predictable at is like having a big presentation throughout the year. You have your spring direct, summer direct, fall direct, you know. So it's like clockwork. And also a lot of these companies, Xbox, PlayStation, like Nintendo, they're under a lot of fire. Like there's a lot of chip shortages. Xbox is dealing with not a lot of games on their system. So this is a great way for Nintendo to be like, this is what we got.
Get it. Yeah, exactly.
So
I think they will.
I think it's gonna happen.
Thank you, Gum Gun Kapow, for the massive donation. It's super kind of you. Appreciate it very much. And to the others that have donated during the stream, we are so in depth in these predictions and rumors and leaks that it kind of just got carried away. But thank you so much. Appreciate everybody being here and doing that. I think there is 100% chance. I mean, 99, I guess, but I'm not worried. I also feel like Nintendo, like, they have, again, the logic, it's not like they said, oh, Splatoon Direct is coming in August. We know literally nothing about their second half lineup. We know the smidgen about Pokemon. We know a bit about Xenoblade. They've been dropping stuff on Twitter. They have to show more, if not for us, for the investors, for everybody. So maybe it slips to the fourth week of June or something, which would be very odd, but like they got to have the show. The show must go on.
I mean, if they, let's say they do skip it, which I think is very likely, they would have to have one like in July then. Like, so they need to talk about some stuff.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's going to happen. I mean, at the least, you're going to probably get a Splatoon. If they don't do it, let's say they don't do it, Splatoon Direct and a Pokemon Direct. You're definitely going to get those.
To that point, there was this strange rumor a couple weeks ago from Jeff Grubb and others saying like that he heard multiple Nintendo presentations instead of one big one. I still find that to be very odd, and I still feel like, okay, well then, is it going to get announced? Because I think if you're just like, tune in tomorrow for a Splatoon Direct, people are going to freak the heck out. Like that, there's no Nintendo Direct. So I feel like we'll get that Direct. As soon as it happens, we'll let everybody know. Like, gosh darn, it's my highlight. It's the highlight of the year. It's like the most exciting, best, biggest day, and it just needs to happen. So I know people are saying it's not been announced yet, but it's...
Well, plus you have like third-party obligations, right? Like you have third-party games coming, and I think they need to like do something with them. There's contracts there, so I definitely think it's gonna happen. Like, Zach, if it doesn't happen, Nintendo is not doing well. Like if they don't have enough to do a presentation, a lot went wrong.
And there's obviously delays, but we're not at the same state like we were in 2020 where they did skip the summer. It's nothing is that dire. The only difference is E3 is not holding it all together, but E3 was just a venue. It wasn't like they didn't tell Nintendo get games ready. Nintendo had their games and they just used the venue of E3. So Nintendo still needs to get their word out, get their hype out, get their pre-orders out, let everybody know. And so I feel like it is going to happen. And I feel like we'll have another fun conversation, talking about how great it was, and DK hopefully. And
just because E3 is canceled, like, Nintendo has been doing a digital conference and presentation for years now. So honestly, I don't even think E3 being canceled affects Nintendo's plans at all. I don't think there's any correlation.
Besides saving some budget, it doesn't really do much. They just save the money on the floor space and still do their stuff. So I don't think you have to really worry. I'm not worried. I'm more worried about this Mario Kart thing tonight. I want to find out what happens with that and what actually is going down. Because like you said, if it does show up, my hype meter is going to go, sky high.
Guys, if there is Mario Kart news tonight, get ready for a presentation. Because if that doesn't make the presentation, what does? Like that's going to be a huge thing.
Right.
I don't know, man.
It probably won't, but...
I mean, I think it'll work both ways, though. If it gets dropped tonight, I think they're still going to be in the presentation, though. I still think it's going to be there. Hey, look at our new things.
You really want them to talk about this stuff that's already out. Mario Kart, Mario Strikers.
I think I don't know, man. I have been burned too many times doing these prediction shows and stuff.
I will say I went back because I remember it like they show that stuff off, but I did go back and look at like Mario Maker 2 and games that released very close to the Direct, and they more often than not were not showcased. So Nintendo has been good about, not rehashing for us. To me, the fact that this one comes out probably before the show bodes even better, but I can see what you're saying of like, well, it's already out, so now we gotta, look ahead. So,
Zach, let's just talk about this final thing, okay? The final announcement, the one more
what's the
thing.
last one? This will be our final discussion here. Is the one more thing. I know a lot of people want it to be a Breath of the Wild 2 title reveal, but I don't think that is going to be it.
What is it, guys? Let us know.
We can hold off for a second here.
The one more thing. I mean, in terms of my predictions, I think the DK game would warrant a one more thing. Like, one more thing, DK's back, but he's in like 2.5D. Like, I think that would be a mic drop moment. You don't have Smash anymore. Smash is always a guaranteed announcement. You don't have the fighters to rely on. Metroid?
These are out there, but yeah, I have two. One is Metroid Prime 4, a trailer. We haven't seen anything from that. It could even just be a CG teaser. But another trailer from Metroid, especially if Prime Remastered gets announced, then I could see them announcing that early in the show and then closing out with like, or they do the thing where Metroid Prime Remaster is the end, and then they're like, but there's more from Sam. They do that a lot where it's like another game. This would be very unlikely, but it would be a great spot for a Mario Odyssey 2 tease too, for like a 2023.
Yeah.
Just Cap becomes just something slight, not gameplay, but just Mario is back. Or my wild card for you is that they end with the Mario movie trailer.
Oh, that would be.
It would be bad.
I would not like that.
It would be bad for the games, but it would be it's a monumental moment for like Nintendo.
Yeah. I feel like you almost have to put that somewhere in the middle. Like, a lot of people are hyped for it. It is a big announcement, but I feel like a gaming direct to end on a movie,
but
bro.
It's a Nintendo direct. They're going to show you their amiibo, their toys, their games, their movies.
Erica said 1-2 switch. Zach, if 1-2 switch is the last 1-2
we killed
thing,
the stream. Yeah, we killed
the stream.
We killed the stream.
We go watch,
it's over.
I'm going to become Microsoft Talk or something.
Oh,
that would be the biggest meme ever. I don't know, man. I don't like the movie ending. I like DK. I do like the Mario Odyssey 2 or something like that. I really do like that. But that's what we got. We weren't too bad, man. We didn't predict anything crazy.
Nothing crazy yet. Let's see if any leaks come out in the next couple of days. We'll obviously both keep you posted. We'll both be doing live streams of the Direct when it does happen and reacting and discussing it with you. So stay tuned for those announcements. Stay tuned for Nintendo's announcements. And let's have a good week. Let's hope that some Switch stuff shows up at Jeff Keighley's show. Let's hope some Switch stuff shows up at Devolver. Let's hope some Switch stuff shows up at the Switch show. And now we wait for Mario Kart tonight, whatever the heck's happening.
We will see.
All right, guys and girls, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Obviously, check out Pat. Check out Switch Force. NintenTalk. The duo is back, and now we are gone. So until next time, thanks again, everybody. Switch Force.
See ya.
Out.